What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. You know where you're at, Scooter's Garage. Today we're going to be doing carb boots on my Frankenstein MxZX 440. But real quick, before we get to that, digging through my analytics, I found out, 98% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. So, if you like the content, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, helps us get out in front of more people, and yeah, I'd really appreciate it. Drop a like if you feel like it. But that shameless plug out of the way, let's get to the task at hand. Alright, now, I say Frankenstein, and you guys are probably going to laugh when you see this, but this is the way I got it, so don't hate me too much. This is my 03 MxZX 440. Kind of a bad angle there. The reason why I call it Frankenstein is because it's got the seat here is off of what was it, an 06 MXZ, not the right one. The rear heat exchangers are actually out of an XCR 700 that the previous owner had bent to fit the shape of the tunnel, and they actually work pretty well. At some point I'd like to change them out, but I mean, that's a story for another day. And as you can tell, the paint ain't exactly factory. The previous owner did a really nice job painting it. There's a nice mural on the front here and all that, and painted down the side of it, and it does look good, but I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to go back to original or not yet. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below if you think that we should try to get this thing back to its original form in some shape. Oh, the other thing, I don't have any of the good shocks. These are just your run-of-the-mill first gen Rev MxZ shocks. It does have the original control arms, which is nice. These are extremely hard to find. But yeah, so on to the task at hand. If you guys own one of these, finding carb boots for these is getting to be a chore. Whoop, losing my tools here. Here's the part number. Let's see if I can get you guys a better shot of that. For the Kimpex replacements, they're really the only ones that make carb boots for these anymore. They seem to be good quality. They're not, they're not cheap Chinese crap, or at least not from what I can tell. So that's your best bet to try to get your hands on a set of carb boots for these older ones, because Skidoo discontinued them like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer than that. I'm not sure, but they've been discontinued for a fair bit now. All right, let's get into this. Obviously, you're going to have to take your side panel off. You guys know how to do that if you own one of these. Pop the door open, pull the slides off, drop the door over there, off out of the way somewhere. I'm going to get in here and take our clutch guard off. Toss that on the floor. Your next step is going to be, and I hope you guys can see this, you got to get these screws out, and there's one for each carburetor. Some sleds are... Oh, hang on, no, we're going with these ones. My bad. Some sleds don't have the clamps on the airbox boots, some do. This one just happens to have them. So we're going to take our really long Phillips head screwdriver here. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. This is not an easy thing to do one-handed, especially not getting to the other side. But we're going to pull that screw, loosen that screw up a little bit. And then we got to get to the far side here, which I think I'm going to have to grab a light and stick it in there so I can see what I'm doing. And if I can get it on the right setting. There we go. I'm not sure if you guys can see the tip of the screwdriver there or not, but you got to go a ways back to get to that other one. I'm going to zip that out of there. You don't have to take them completely out, just loosen them up just enough so that you can get the airbox out of your way. If you take them completely out, you're going to drop the screws, and then you'll be digging around under the motor trying to find them. And we're just going to grab a hold of the airbox here. We're going to give her a little slide back. Snake that out around. Toss it off to the side. Oh, look at that. One of my carburetors fell off. That's cute. I guess that might have been our air leak this whole time, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to do carb boots. You get in here, unscrew the clamp, for the carburetor. You can take your carbs completely off if you want to. I don't. I just kind of pull them out, kick them off to the side. I guess I didn't get that loose enough. The reason why I'm doing this is because when I fired it up after sitting all summer, it had a bit of a hanging idle. If I gave it a couple whacks of the primer, it'd come down a little bit, but it wouldn't stay down. So I might have to do a little carburetor cleaning. It wouldn't stay down, and as you can see, I've had to repair these once before. Don't do this. This was just, I didn't ride this sled a lot last year, so I just kind of boogered it up to try to get it to where I could put a couple of miles on it, keep it as a backup sled in case I needed it. But yeah, don't do that. And then we're gonna take, gotta grab my extension here. I'm just gonna use my quarter inch impact driver to take those off. Grab a battery. Just because it's a little bit faster. You can do it this way. You might have to use a swivel. You might have to use something, you know, along those lines, or a little extension. But just gonna get in here. We're gonna zip all these bolts out. I may have to get a swivel to get in here to the bottom ones. Whatever you do, don't strip these out. You know, don't strip the heads on them. Don't, you know, there is a torque spec for these, and I just looked it up. I believe it said it was 40 inch-pounds, which isn't a lot. I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low, so I won't be torquing them down. I usually just tighten them down with a 1/4 inch ratchet, and just try not to push them too hard. I think I just ripped that gasket, which means I'm gonna have to go get another one. So I may be taking this back apart later. All right, let me see if I can get these separated. Have to grab a screwdriver here. Oh, I need a small screwdriver. There we go, that'll work. Okay, let's see if we can get in here and get these pried apart. I really hope it didn't rip that. Really hope it didn't rip that reed valve gasket, because if it did, I'm gonna have to go get new ones. I don't have any on hand, but I'll throw it back together for the video so you guys can see how it goes back together, and then I'll just fix it later. There we go. Boy, I guess I really didn't need to put that RTV on there, huh? Now these ones that I had on here are set up for the boost bottle. I didn't have one, so I just ran a piece of hose between the two of them and zip tied it off. Again, not something you should be doing if you're planning on doing a fair amount of riding with it. And as you can see, you know, I kind of gooped the hell out of it because it was this one was in pretty rough condition. It was just, you know, to get me through for a little bit, and I think, yep, we're good. While you're in there, you might as well pop your reeds out. You know, make sure you get a set of new gaskets for it. Pop your reeds out, give them a look. Make sure you're not seeing any daylight through them, because that can cause a hanging or a high idle as well. Just because it's getting improper airflow. Actually, I'm going to have to take that out and we'll clean it up a little bit. Here I am doing everything backwards. Man, I really need to hire a cameraman. But, you know, we'll get this, get all this old RTV off. I'm not going to put any on this time. I usually do that just, you know, as a precautionary measure. You don't need to. They're not meant to have it. They're not meant to have a gasket between the boot and the, pardon me, boot between, or a gasket between the boot and the, yeah, and the reed valve. Even on Skidoo's website, they don't show a gasket or any RTV or anything in there. You know, if you're a little nervous about it properly sealing, you could throw a little in there. It's not going to hurt anything. But I wouldn't really advise it, especially if you're putting brand new boots on. Because then you end up in situations like this where you're trying to get it done fast, and Now you got crap falling in the reed valves that the motor could potentially suck up. All that happy jazz. On another note, you guys recognize that old cheap bastard. That one, I'll be doing some more videos on the old Can-Am here shortly. I'm just waiting on some parts to come in. I do have an upgraded the aluminum shift bracket that I'm going to put on it. And I'm waiting on a clutch. I bought an STM clutch for it, so we'll do a quick little install video, maybe a tuning video on that, because I bought a used one off of 1000 because I'm a cheap bastard, and I'm gonna have to retune it. So you got that, checked your reed valves, shove that back in there, make sure your gasket's good. A lot of times, if it hasn't been apart in a long time, that gasket will end up ripping, so you'll end up having to buy one. It's just good practice to make sure you have that kind of stuff ahead of time. You know, don't be like me and start a project with half the parts you need. Working on trying to get this out of here. Bear with me for a second. Show you that part number again while I'm messing around with this. A little bit of a better shot of it. This camera does not focus well. There you go. That's the Kimpex part number for these replacements. As you can tell, they're fairly similar to the original ones. You know, seem like they're fairly decent quality. They're not really made out of cheap rubber, or they don't look like they're going to delaminate within the first season or whatever. So, you know, not terrible. Kimpex is usually known for some pretty good parts. But we're just gonna, actually I gotta grab a bolt here. I cannot explain to you guys how hard this is to do one-handed. I'm gonna try to get a bolt started. I'm not gonna do both sides. I mean, the other side's just a repeat of doing just the same thing as doing this one. There we go, she started in there. It's the same thing, you know, just whatever, how many bolts there is, 6 bolts I think that hold it together. Make sure when you're putting it back in that you're not cross-threading any bolts. You know, and when you go to tighten these down, you don't want to go, man, my camera work is shoddy today. You don't want to go crazy with them, because these are extremely fine thread, and they will strip out very easily. If it feels like it's not going in correctly, stop, take it back out, and start over. Because if you don't, you're going to be drilling and tapping, and nobody wants to do that. You know, it's kind of like that meme where it says wife walks out into the garage and sees the tap and die set sitting on the workbench, and she turns around and slowly backs away. That's pretty accurate in my opinion. Once I got to break that out, I've definitely reached a point where I'm over it. Come on, I know you can do it. Yeah, and obviously it's, you know, putting your airbox and stuff back on, that's just the reverse operation of what we started out with. Like, this is just a quick and dirty video. I don't really want to spend a ton of time on it, because this is pretty straightforward thing, as most of you would understand. You know, you first timers, you may be a little, you know, scared, obviously. You know, if you got, it's not a terrible job, but if you've got like a hanging idle, or your sled's idling really high for no apparent reason, and you can't get it to come down, don't try to ride it. Don't ask your buddies if it's going to be okay. Just, you know, stop, get a can of brake clean and spray in here around the carb boots, and if the idle picks up even higher, then you've got a crack in your carb boot, and you're gonna need to replace it. It's not something, you know, this set of carb boots cost me, what was it, 140 bucks I think it was, and that's just because these are hard ones to find. $140 is a lot cheaper than having to take it to somebody to have the motor rebuilt. because you burn down a piston sucking air. I'm just going to kind of run these down with this for the sake of speed here. You know, don't go ramming them home because you will strip them out. Like I said, the torque spec on them, from what I can read, is, or what I can find, is, boy, I went a little too hard on that one, is 40 inch-pounds. It's not really a lot, so basically snug them down, give them like an eighth to a quarter of a turn at most, and then call it good. You don't want to, you don't want to ram them home. We're just gonna give these a little bit, just to be sure. I've got that impact, that little 1/4 inch impact gun set pretty low, so get this one down here. Boy, everything's out of frame today, isn't it? But yeah, you know, just give them, snug them down. Don't go ape shit. Don't try to go till they stop or whatever. You know, just give them a little bit of a twist till they snug up. Maybe go a smidge more, and then call it good at that. You know, don't get crazy. And we're just gonna throw that on there. And there we go. One thing with these are not set up for a boost bottle. These are like, I guess what would be Trail Factory kind of carb boots. So if you have a boost bottle, these will probably still work, but you're gonna have to drill out that cavity down in there or open it up somehow. I'm sure somebody's done it before, but yeah, these don't come set for a boost bottle. That's just closed off in there. But yeah, you know, next step, obviously, throw your carburetor back on, get that in there, get it seated. I have issues with my airbox because the way the coolant lines run, you can't really see them here, but the way the coolant lines run, because it's not the factory cooler, they're in the way of the airbox, so I got to kind of fight it on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really straightforward. 6 bolts. I mean, some like your some of your MXZs and stuff like that have the coolant lines that run into the carburetor to preheat them when you first start the sled. Those can be a little bit more of a pain to kind of work around when it comes to changing the carb boots. It's not undoable, and a lot of times those coolant lines won't come off, or they'll end up breaking a fitting. So just, you know, if you're doing it on that type of sled, just be careful, take your time, don't break anything. But this, you know, checking your carb boots before every season, and maybe periodically throughout the season, could save you hundreds of dollars and, you know, a few days to a week plus of downtime, depending on whether you're doing it yourself or you're taking it to a shop, or what the availability is on the parts to do it. It's just a good bit of preventative maintenance to check them every now and again. And like I said, if you've got a hanging idle, or it's idling really high and you don't know why, shut it down. Because I actually blew this motor up, was it 2 years ago? Because one of my carb boots had cracked and I didn't check it, and I actually ended up burning down a piston in here. I'll show you what that looks like. It's not that one. Not that one. Where'd she go? Right here. This right here is the piston that came out of it after it started sucking air because of a bad carb boot. The little ding marks and stuff that you see all over the top actually isn't piston ring. It's the ground strap off of the spark plug. I was probably 15 miles from home when it started running like crap, and I lost the ground strap, and I put a new spark plug in it, limped it home. By the time I got home, it would barely even idle on its own, and that's what ended up happening. You know, it cost me $250, I think, for pistons, rings, wrist pin bearings, miscellaneous, the whole gasket set and all that to rebuild it. So just check your carb boots every now and again, I guess is the point that I'm trying to get to. I'm just taking the long way to get there. Check them every once in a while. You know, if there's an issue, it's idling high, if you can get it to a road, or you know, if you're at a gas station or something, just trailer it home. Be safe. Don't cost yourself thousands and thousands of dollars in part, or you know, not thousands and thousands, but sorry, a little bit of a cold. Hundreds of dollars in parts and downtime to rebuild it. But yeah, there'll be some new videos coming out soon, hopefully on the Outlander, and I have some other stuff I want to do because I've got my 08 that still needs, my 08 Skidoo that still needs work. But yeah, we'll have some new videos coming here pretty quick. I'll do my best. It's kind of my slow time of the year, but I'm also trying to get through customer sleds and stuff like that. So, you know, if you like the video, think about subscribing, drop a like, and leave a comment whether you think we should try to get this back to original, or just say, you know, I like the way it looks, and we'll leave it at that. But until next time, as always, keep it shiny side up.